things that I don't have. There were times when I recently, like in the last year, when I've just been at my wit's end. I'm like, I don't want anybody talking to me about anything anymore. It's 11 o'clock at night. I'm exhausted. And if you would, I'd be like, call Poppy. If, Felix, if you still need to talk about this thing, call Poppy. And he would call Poppy, and they'd be on the phone for 45 minutes. And he's a lot more patient than I am as well. So, oh, geez. So I appreciated that. I would marvel at it. I'm like, how? I don't understand how I'm like, it's time to go. And everybody's like still like usually putting on shoes and like jackets and stuff. And you just like, just be standing there kind of waiting. And I'm like, how is this not making you crazy? And he's like, oh. I don't understand, but so certainly differences in our personalities and our parenting style, but I just but I don't know, from the get-go, we were on the same page about how we wanted to, what kind of parents we wanted to be, and how we wanted to there's something that he said, when when you're shopping for baby related stuff and everyone's trying to make you get the changing table and the diaper pail and the this and that, and certainly you need this and is this special crib that unfolds into a car or whatever. And we were like really trying to resist getting caught up in all of this. And he was like, you know what? It comes down to, he's like, what do babies really need? He's like, diapers, milk, and hugs. And I was like, yeah, like just the basics. And I feel like, is that sense of authenticity and just getting down to like, what is actually needed here in this moment for this person at this time. I think that the strains of that were in so many aspects of his life, in the way that, the sounds that he made on his instruments, and just the purity of listening to music, just doing nothing but listening, as Stephanie talked about, or listening hard to the children when they had things to talk about. I think they both really feel very much heard by him, which is how I felt, I felt that as well. So I'm going to be that person to stand up here and, aside from sadness, to express that I'm angry, and I feel it's very unfair for him to not be here, to see the rest of their lives, to see the rest of his life, I think I really thought that I would still be co-parenting with him for many more decades. I really thought that, and I thought that that we were. I could see that we were getting on a path. We had what many people would call was an amicable relationship, 100%. And it doesn't mean that we always agreed. It doesn't mean that we didn't have a complex relationship at times, but it was amicable. I would certainly say that, and I had love for Clifford. I still do. So, I guess that's all. I really appreciate everybody being here, and I wish that he could see how many people cared for him. I think that was a struggle as well, to really accept how that people cared about him. He didn't accept that, to really take it in. And so I think with Clifford being gone now, I'm learning that it's very important to make people aware of the good that they're doing, and that what they're doing is enough, and to make them as feel as seen as he made me feel. Hi, my name is Heidi. This is too tall for me. I just wanted to say, Miss Clifford, I'm Axel's sister. Clifford was a great guy. And this is Alex. He gave the best hugs. My mama used to say, you know, when you're just feeling down and you just needed a hug. It was the best hug. And I think I said those ones too many times. But Danielle gave me a hug the other day, and it felt like Clifford. It was like, oh. I want to tell you this story whenever I get down. It's the funniest thing that has ever happened. My family and I were planning a party for my grandmother. We were trying to find old school songs that we could dance to at the party. And we were going through a whole bunch of different singers. And we said, okay, because he has good songs, we listed them. And then I said, okay, well, how about Stevie Wonder? And he was like, yeah, I got some good songs. I'm like, that's good songs. Clifford looked at me like, how dare you? He was just like, you can take this? Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? But he was just so funny and just spur of the moment, he had like this unchained like energy, and he was a great guy. And I'm gonna miss him for his kids, I'm gonna miss him for my sister, I'm gonna miss him for Stephanie, so I'm gonna miss him for my family. He was a beautiful spirit, and I'll never say goodbye, because he's always gonna be in our hearts, he's always gonna be in some type of form of memory that we have. The last time I saw him, we were at a soccer game, and introduced me to Stephanie, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I heard so much about you. I mean, he was just always like a little kid. But I love you, I miss you, and we'll see you again someday. Yeah. Okay.
So, nobody say anything to Danny, but when I was a little kid, Clifford was my favorite uncle. He was impossibly cool. He was a musician. I would sit for hours and just watch him practice. I would ask him questions about what he was doing, and he would explain very, very badly. I still have no idea what he was doing. But I want to tell you about a time he had a major impact on me. He really, as a young little kid, he just broke open my mind and opened new horizons of possibility that have really never closed back up. I don't remember exactly how old I was, maybe 6 or 7, young, little. And I got a birthday card from him. And written in that birthday card was a swear word. Now, this was not the first time I had heard a grown-up use a swear word. I'd heard them a few times. This was the first time a grown-up had written a swear word to me. And all the swear words I had heard before this were, it was always something that was bad and wrong. They weren't supposed to do it, at least not in front of me. But here was this birthday card, and he had written it by hand, and he had thought of a swear word, and he had considered his audience, and he said, yeah, I'm gonna write that down and mail it to my 7-year-old nephew. And I saw that and thought, is this okay? Have I been lied to my whole life? What else have I been lied to? And it's kind of a funny story, but it's true. I started asking questions. I never stopped. That was the kind of person he was. He took an impish glee in certain things that were maybe not approved of by others. But he always did it in a way that had a greater purpose. And it had a major impact on me. And the word was ass.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am going to call you a different version of who I know as Clifford Childers. My name is Camille Sudofia. I'm the former father-in-law to Clifford. Clifford was more than a son-in-law. He acted as a brother. He also acted as a son in me. In the African sense, that's where I come from. Clifford was very thrilled to meet an African who had tribal stories to tell. He was interested in learning new things and comparing his culture, the Hispanic culture, to the traditional African culture. He was a good listener. So he became closer and closer to me over the years. I miss him. I thank him for giving me 2 beautiful grandchildren. I wish you were here to continue the relationship and to see them grow up and become young women and young men. Clifford liked history. He liked culture. He was thrilled to know about my grandmother, who was a midwife, because I practice by profession. I am obstetrician gynecologist. We would sit down. I would relate to him how grandma was famous in the village, how he helped women in labor. Clifford was a good listener. I miss Clifford. The things that you may not know about Clifford, I will tell you. Of all the African things he learned, he could not move. I would teach him. You would be amazed. This is somebody who makes music. He follows rhythm. And yet, Clifford, I had to tell him, put this foot first, and then you have your cue. He struggled, and eventually got it. I miss Clifford because he was a good listener. He was a good man, and he was a good father. The things I saw him do, his relationship with his children, is par none unrivaled. We talked about soccer because I played soccer in my earlier years, and we read into what Felix is doing, the moves he made. And of course, Clifford loves soccer, and he was able to transmit this to Felix. You ought to see Felix in the field. He's aggressive. but discipline. And he got it from Clifford. It's a sad moment that we have to come together to say goodbye to Clifford. But he was a wonderful person. More than a son-in-law, he was my son, and I miss him.
All right, I made it. So my name is Robert, and I worked with Luis as judicial counsel, and hopefully I can lighten the mood a little bit. I want to share one fun fact because it's a fun fact for me, and then like 2 or 3 stories, and I'll be brief. So the fun fact is, in my true narcissistic personality, I just want to take credit for discovering this diamond in the rough. Everybody came up here trying to take credit. And I was the one that first reviewed the applications, and something that stood out about this guy. And you can only learn so much from paper, right? But I knew right away that it was either boom or bust. Because I said, either this guy ran his parents for $200,000 in college tuition and still lives in the basement, or he's brilliant. So we all found out it was the latter, of course. And so, and then just a couple of stories I wanted to share was some of the things you all been talking about, especially a couple of stories Stephanie told, really stand out to me because I see some of these same qualities. And the first one was the time we have sort of a bike trail walking track that goes around the business complex, I guess is what it's called where we work. A lot of people, of course, pre to COVID would go out there and we take a lap or 2 around this thing when we be stressed out and, try to get there hopefully before noon in August, And so a coworker of mine would try to go out there and do it a few times a week. And we're out there one day and we had just barely began working with Luis, and we had said goodbye to Luis as we walked out. He said, "Have a great walk." We go around, we're doing our lap. And the trail, it does sort of change elevation a little bit. Not a lot, but there's some rolling to it a little bit, some big pine type trees around. So you can't always see everything on the trail. But me and my coworker, we knew something was about to happen. And we got this eerie feeling because we heard what sounded like several people. We thought it was probably a gang of young fellas that were about to attack us. And we're looking at each other in that split second, and you can tell neither one of us know what to do. And to our dismay, we look up, and around the curve up the elevation comes Luis in his bare feet. He's jogging on the August pavement, asphalt, in his bare feet. That's when I knew this guy was serious. And we thought it was a gang of thugs about to rob us. So another story about this is also I heard this in Stephanie's speeches, his ability to organize and do things like that. And so for years I had been ranting and raving to all of our staff about this file room we had that became this pile of junk. Apparently it used to be locked and you had to have access to and file away very important papers, And at some point, somebody decided to just keep the room unlocked full time. And that's when everybody started rolling in all of their broken chairs, broken things like this, mic stand, steak, but everything that you can think of in any office building was in that room, and it was all junk, and it was piled from floor to ceiling. And for years, I kept trying to get somebody to step up. But I finally decided, hey, Luis, I want to put you in charge of a project. I want you to get this file room cleaned up. Here's what I'm giving them all this advice, blah, blah, blah. And so I call him in about a month later, and I said, hey, I want to talk about the file room cleanup project. And he goes, okay, you're right there. Shows up, and I started to talk to him, and I'm about asking for some updates, but I couldn't help but notice this bunch of paperwork he had. And I said, Luis, what's that paperwork? And he goes, my catalog. And I go, what catalog? He had cataloged every piece of junk in that room. We're talking hundreds, if not thousands of pieces of junk in this room. Luis had cataloged it all into categories, subgroups, subcategories. He knew exactly what was in the room. So that was Clifford. Another time, I decided, yeah, I'm one of those guys that knows nothing about music. All musicians, I know nothing about music. Never played music growing up. Never took a music class, but I always wanted badass rock star. And so I'm one of the guys grabbed a guitar, 45, and plucked on it when I can, you know. So I said, I'm gonna ask Luis some tips, you know. And so I'm telling Luis, he said, hey, Luis, I'm working on my scales. He goes, all right, cool. I go, you got any tips for me? He goes, oh, really? And I said, you got any tips for me? He goes, well, what are you working on? Well, I don't know, I'm memorizing all those scales, you know, the pentatonic, and 3 notes per string, the major, the minor. But I don't know what to do anything. I don't know what to do with them, you know? And I don't know if you remember the movie Joe Dirt. And there's an actor in the Joe Dirt movie. He's a longtime actor named Christopher Walken, right? Or is it Walker? Walken, right? And he plays the janitor at the school who's in the witness protection program that saves all the kids from the burning classroom. And there's this scene in the movie, and I won't be able to quote it, but where Christopher Walken's looking in the mirror, kind of like De Niro in Taxi Driver, and he's going, and he's saying something to the effect of like, you're going about this all wrong. You're going about it all wrong, you know? And he's giving this speech to himself in the mirror. And Luis says, you're going about it all wrong. And I go, what do you mean? He said, it's all about the intervals, man. And I looked up and I said, what the hell's an interval? And this is the only way this guy, in true Clifford fashion, right, can tell a grown man, you just wasted 2 years of your life. Completely wasted it. So that was a fun story. Also, we occasionally would nudge Luis for potential promotional opportunities, because that's what you do in the corporate environment, right? You just try to take it all, right? You know. And he was really not that interested, because we all know now that he was driven by deeper things than a job, promotions, and money and whatnot. But we would occasionally say, hey, why don't you try this out, or let me apply for this job there. So Luis applies for a job, and he's got this interview, and someone calls me, and they're looking for him. Hey, Luis has got this interview, and he didn't show up. You know where he's at? I said, I don't know. I'll look for him. I'm looking everywhere. I can't find Luis here. Don't know what's going on. Finally get him on his cell phone. Luis, where are you? I'm down at the FedEx box. And I go, what are you doing down the street at the FedEx box? Man, we've been having a lot of problems with the FedEx deliveries lately. And I found out that this guy's seen him down here. I heard he was down here. And I'm down here working it out, getting it fixed. I said, Luis, you're supposed to be in a promotional interview right now. I gotta get this FedEx thing fixed. That's the story. This is a true story. And he got the FedEx issue fixed. And we got a refund. And the last story, I think I have one more. Is that it? Yeah, that's the last story. Thanks,
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here tonight honoring Clifford. My name's Ron Ochoa. I first met Clifford via a Latin jazz project named Nagual. And then Clifford joined Nagual, jumped in, played trombone, the bass trumpet, which I've never seen before, and even some harmonicas he brought out. And our combo Nagual at the time, it was just honored to have him, and every time he was able to be part of that was always a special time in our lives. And shortly after, he developed a group called Canciones Bonitas. And again, Clifford, as you look around and you listen this evening, please understand that Clifford wasn't just part of these groups, but he inspired every single person in all of these groups from this wide range of musical genres that you just don't come across people like that. So please, I just want to honor him and mention it. So tonight we present to you, or people, a version called Canciones para Clifford. We're going to do Afro Blue. He Clifford was very inspired, really enjoyed African, West African and Latin rhythms, so we're gonna honor in that way. And then he always did this version of this Curtis Mayfield's People Get Along. And he played it on bass trumpet. And the way he presented that was just beyond words. And tonight we'll have a reshow. We'll be singing that with us. So give me 2 quick renditions of those tunes. Thank you so much for being here to honor Clifford tonight. And I can't begin to mention how much he has meant to me and everyone on this stage and everyone. Thanks again.
Everyone, just give me a round. Thank you. Happy birthday.
just a safety home. But even those who stay shaken, 'cause there's no hiding place for the deep soul. Some people get ready to change the falling. Don't need nobody to tell us no. It's the key coming on. You don't need no minute stay. You don't need no ticket to stay. Don't need no ticket
Thank you everyone for getting ready for element grass. And if anyone else would like to come up and speak about Clifford, opportunities, so basically appreciate it.
All right, before Element Grass Band does start, we do want to open up the floor for anyone else to say some words or stories about Clifford that you like, or Louise, that you fall back on Clifford. Sorry not to mix up this whole thing, but if anyone would like to share something, now is the time, because after this we'll start heading to conclusion. So if anybody at this point would like to say some words, please feel free to come on up as the brass band slowly gets ready.
I'm not shy, and I'll let the band get together while I'll talk a quick story. One time, Clifford and I did a gig in Reno with a local funk band called the Dibblers when they were together, way back when. And coming back from Reno, about 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe 2 to 10, going to Roseville, dropping him off because he had something to do with what I saw him the next morning. And I'm like, okay, I'll get you home, bro, I'll get you home. We're talking about music, listening to music. I mean, because when you go to a gig with a fellow musician, sometimes it takes 2 hours or 3 hours to get there. You do the gig, it takes another 2 or 3 hours to get home. So you really get to know somebody. And you really get to know somebody in a very heartfelt way. And to me, Clifford was such an abundance of history and knowledge, and he had so much coming at me. I'm like, wait a minute, you did what? You did what? Wait. And he like, what? I was just astonished at him as a person, astonished at him as a musician, and just our heartfelt discussions about being fathers really got me thinking a lot, because, he really wanted to be home with his kids, and I really wanted to be home with my kids, but here we go, spending 6-8 hours of our lives with music, but that's also a passion of ours. So we always encourage each other to keep the music going. Anyway, so going back to the Reno story, we're coming back from Reno, and it's about 2:10 in the morning, maybe 2:30 in the morning, and we're coming back from Reno, coming down the hill, and we hit a deer, and I had a hybrid Camry, and so the deer I hit messed up my engine, but at least the hybrid part of the engine was still kind of working. So at least I got him home. I got him home as I promised. Maybe it was 4 in the morning, but I got him home. And so the point of that story is, us musicians, we go through a lot together. And he was one of my brothers in arms, one of my brothers in music, one of my brothers in just being together with him, and, and God would have missed Clifford a lot.
Just checking on the rest of anybody who wants to, anybody else has any kind words or not so kind words, we can take it. He can take it. He was a strong guy. He can handle it. If you got something to say. All right. We'll give I've been teaching a long time, so we give extended pauses to allow for reflection. So I'll say it one more time, we got 10, 15 seconds to reflect on, see if anyone does have anything else they'd like to share or say. And then I'll probably say a few words and we'll start sharing a little bit more later. So again, if anybody else has something to share.
Now you can just think, pause, and trust for the next 15 seconds as we enjoy the space together.
All right, so this is my time. Nice having you share. My name is Benoit Shepherd. I met Clifford in the streets and playing brass band music. And when I met him, you know, when you meet Clifford, if you're a musician, you meet him, you hear him the first time you come across Clifford, and upon that first engagement, you realize that there's so much more behind his playing. So when Cliff played a note, you heard a story. You heard where he was coming from, you heard where he was going, and every note that he played changed us all. Like it made us look at myself, and when he played a note, I looked at myself like, ugh, what happened? Like what's changing? But he brought that out in all of us. He meant every single note that he ever played on any instrument at any time. It was remarkable. This man played in so many styles and genres, and no matter what was happening groove-wise, like he had the foresight to be able to sit, listen, and find something to add. When we think, oh, this can't get any better, Clifford will be like, one second, please. And all of a sudden pull something out of his pocket, a harmonica, a tambourine, a bass trumpet, a trombone, just something that made you question, like, hey, what is this guy doing? Where does he get all this stuff from? He had a whole bag of tricks, and everyone just brought everything to the next level. He and I share the passion about occupying space. We had several conversations about artists, musicians. We work really hard to occupy a space, to change how people feel around us. We don't just play, we change how people feel on a regular basis. And for a master like Clifford that really came to understand that, it just changed everybody. Like one note, his sound was so huge. He just played one fat note in the middle and just like turn around, do a spin move. It was like the old Temptation, like ooh. Like he just had that kind of power that would leave you with something. No matter how much or how little he gave, it all had a lasting effect. I miss him a lot. Think about it, a lot. These chords that we hear, a lot of us choose a creative life, and a lot of us don't. But some of us, we can't help but pull these chords out of the air. And everybody that we meet, these musician colleagues that we come across, we share this ability to occupy space with sound that we can't even hear yet. And it allows us to change people, to change ourselves, to groove a little bit differently, to acknowledge the sound and space of the person next to us. Like those things that we forget to do in conversation on a regular basis, we forget to look at the person next to you and say, hey, I love you, I appreciate you, and what you do matters and makes a difference. But we never forgot when we were playing. Clifford never forgot. He made sure that we never forgot. Every single time, audience of one person, audience of thousands of people, it never changed his commitment to delivering this passion that we ignited within ourselves and just can't deny. This isn't an option for a lot of us. And yeah, he is kindred spirit with us, and we listen dearly that he will be in the chorus with us as we occupy our streets, our cities, our neighborhoods, our households, as we acknowledge each other's brilliance and existence on a regular basis. He gave us several examples of how to do that, and I'll forever be thankful for the lessons that he taught me without saying a word, for the acknowledgement he gave me. We miss you. And it's a rough day, but we are still here to celebrate. This is not a warning, this is a celebration. So for those of you who aren't aware of how a second line tends to work, we start with a dirge, we start slow. We're gonna do a tune for you in a second called I'll Fly Away. And we start slow, just to acknowledge that there's a passage here. But we will pick up this tempo. And when we do pick up this tempo, it is the obligation of all of us to acknowledge this celebration of life and change how we feel and make it not about ourselves, but the acknowledgement of a being that was here and is still here with us. So when this tempo picks up, you better have something. You better tap your shoe, you better nod your head, whatever it is, but just something. And what we're going to do is we're going to play those tunes and we're going to walk out this door, we're going to parade around the block and come right back in the front door. If you want to walk with us, we highly encourage you. If you don't, never fear. We will return. And not too long. And you can join us when we come back around. Give your hand to the solution up. We appreciate sharing this time with you. Clifford, it's gonna be following. Make sure you love them. You will forever be in the chorus with us. We will rock these streets with you. They will know your name. They will feel your presence. Everybody, please drive safely, get down. I love thank everybody did a lot of work to make this happen. So much work. Stephanie, where you're up there, see, but we did a lot of walking, so a lot of sweating, so we reduced it along the way. So I'm Warren Shepherd. This is Element and Symmetries and all the Sacramento Brass Band folks telling that together we love you and we appreciate the time that we spent together. So happy Mother's Day.
You and Clifford were my first band again.